Are you struggling with or frustrated training your dog? So that's not uncommon, and I can totally relate. But I want to share with you today a concept that might change the way you think how to train your dog. And I'm going to give you several tips. So, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Linda Kwan, and I am the owner and trainer at Wow Bow Wow. We specialize in working with pet parents with, puppies or adolescent dogs and also rescue dogs. What we do is help the pet parents understand them so, training becomes easier. So they can raise a well-mannered and well-adjusted dog. So that's how we would like to help you too. So, yeah, dog training has its ups and downs, and that's not actually unusual too. Training your dog doesn't like go forward in a linear way, and you can have like a couple of months even like not doing well, and then all of a sudden you get a great burst of like tremendous um, uh, moving forward with your training. So this is the concept I wanted to share with you. So think in terms of building habits, like the desired habits that you want. So even for us humans, I've read that to build and establish a new habit for us, we usually have to do it about maybe 3 weeks at least. And, that means consistently doing it, not only feel like doing it kind of thing, right? So if you think in those terms, again, training your dog to do certain behaviors, it's basically working with them. It could be up to 3 weeks even to um, ask him to do a behavior, and then thereafter, you may start seeing them actually showing you that behavior without you asking. And that's where I want to get you most of the time. Okay, so tip number one. And this is like I find that this can make you fall through the cracks if it's not done well, is building a good communication with your dog. Um, that means, when you're actually teaching a particular cue and they're not understanding, you may have to break it down, right? Um, and in some cases, I realize that sometimes they are working with a dog in a place that has too many distractions. And so that's not a good place to start either. So first, you're building your bond as you're working with the dog, but you got to build that communication where they understand what you're asking them to do. Because sometimes people get frustrated and they think the dog is being stubborn. But in many cases, what I find is that the dog doesn't understand what's going on, or the dog is in an environment where there's too many things going on, so they can't hear the human. So, so building a clear communication with your dog is my first tip. My second tip is now, as I mentioned, building a new habit. It can take us up to at least 3 weeks consistently doing the new activity, right? For example, most people can probably relate to this. It's like scheduling trips to the gym. Whether it's like a couple of times a week, or going for a walk after dinner. Making sure you consistently do that, so it becomes like, oh, I really am enjoying this, and let's go for a walk after dinner. So again, it may take up to about 3 weeks or more to get that into your routine, which becomes something you do without even thinking about it. Now, regards to the like repeating the training, I don't you don't need to do like long, extensive periods of training each day. Um, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time. If you can do that each day or, most days in a week, that would be amazing. You will see improvements. For example, so when you're teaching your dog to sit, right, before they go out the door for a walk, you repeat that every single time you go out for a walk. Okay. If you don't want your dog to be jumping on people, you ask them, if you taught them to sit, you ask them to sit every time they start approaching you. And then you can start asking them to sit every time they approach another person. So, so it becomes a contextual like behavior. And then you practice that in different kinds of locations, right? Does that make sense? So that's an example of how to first learn to communicate that behavior with them clearly, and then practice in locations where you want them to do it, and then take them to locations where they may have a difficult time hearing you, but they are able to do it for you. Okay? Now, the third tip I wanted to share with you is about, and this is what a lot of pet parents stop doing, because once the dog is doing it, they think, oh, we're done. But do this too. So tip number 3. If your dog starts to offering the behavior on their own without a cue, reward, reward, reward. Now, I'd say, you know what? For another 3 weeks, reward them for another 3 weeks. Now, thereafter, you can decrease the frequency of the rewards, but you can definitely give them praise, like good boy and good girl, right? So I still continue to praise my dogs when they sit in front of the door before we go out, so they don't like run out the door and pull my arm out. I ask them to sit in front of people, and now they do it on their own. So I say, oh, good girl, good boy. So even after the 3 weeks or several months, I still praise them. So those are my 3 tips. I hope you found them helpful. And I just wanted to share with you also that, if you want more help in teaching your dog to, for example, walk better on a leash, not jump on people, come back when you call them, or, just other basic behaviors you don't want them to continue doing, join me for a class, join me for a program. So I wanted to share with you that I have my From Rambunctious to Well-Mannered Pup Training Program coming up. The next one is actually, it was originally supposed to start next week, but I have a family issue, so I have to delay it 1 week. So it's going to start July 6th on Thursday. So if you want more information about it, I'm going to drop the link in the comments below. So if you have any other questions, DM me, because there's other things that I offer. I do private sessions as well, either in person or on Zoom. So I can offer either method of training. All right. Thank you for joining me for my Training Tip Tuesday.